I am coming close to the 2-year mark of my travels in the light footprint of zero-emissions Nissan LEAF. It has me thinking of what changes I may make in my personal transportation, if any, in the future. An abundance of ideas come to mind. Initially, I was thinking of an electric bicycle. It would save money. A woman I talk to on a regular basis rides hers 12 miles each way to get to work. She looks fit, satisfied, and bicycle-inspired. I am not so sure that is going to happen, though. We have torrential rains that regularly flood streets in this tiny piece of subtropical Florida. It would be hard to be prompt and dependable with work. To carry some of the supplies I use for work, large supplies, even on a cargo bicycle would be a stretch. Furthermore, the bicycle paths in my city are not designed like Amsterdam, Copenhagen. The lack of bicycle infrastructure supporting safe bicycling to most parts of the city is a major drawback. So, I think I still need a car, so I still need an electric car. I am attached to the quiet ambience and the spacious, roomy feel of the LEAF. I have also thought of a used BMW i3, if prices dropped enough. The LEAF at this point remains more appealing to me anyway due to the roomier back seat. Our friend Sarah was glowing with her choice of a used LEAF. Overall, finding a good deal on a used Nissan LEAF is a primary consideration. The other idea, which will not save me money, is a Tesla Model 3. The Model 3 is just peeking out at us, and I am looking forward to reading reviews on Clean Technica. Pocketbook notwithstanding, it is probably the Model 3 that appeals to me the most. I could travel long distances, out of state even, in the Model 3. I could possibly avoid all forms of gas, even planes, with a longer range Model 3. Yes. 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 For some time, I broke the complicit binds of the gas culture by primarily bicycling. I felt better emotionally. But it was not a sustainable option for me. When I leased the Nissan LEAF, my shoulders dropped again and the guilt of being a dependent, gas-dependent, pollution consumer fell away. Unplugged from participating in air pollution for the first time, I thought of all the children, pedestrians, and bicyclists I was not offending with particulates. I found hope that most anyone can do this if they want to, at least some of the time. I hope this daydream lasts and becomes manifest. A Model 3 most appeals to my sense of journey. It makes my trips, to visit kids and grandkids, longer than on a plane, yet, again, fresher. I hope to keep participating in a fresher tomorrow for my most dear grandchildren. Leasing a new LEAF again? No. I will buy a used EV if I cannot afford a Tesla Model 3. Which one? Hard to say, the personalities vary and each of their appeal. Do I want a simple urban EV, a smart EV? Maybe so. In some European cities, such as Rome, it seems there are smart cars everywhere you look. Small, easily parked, economic, ecological, and maybe cheaper. Next-generation Nissan LEAF prototypes have been spotted often over the last year, but they were heavily camouflaged, making it hard to discern anything more than the overall shape of the new all-electric car. But we now get our first good look at the actual design as the vehicle was apparently spotted during the filming of promotional content. The design of the current LEAF is generally considered unattractive and EV buyers have been hoping for the next generation to feature a significant design refresh in order to remedy the situation. Previous sightings revealed a slightly bigger shape, sharper front, and Nissan's signature V-motion front fascia, which got her hope up about the new version. Now Norway TV2's Broom got pictures from a reader who was staying in a hotel in Spain, where there have been several next-gen prototype sightings, and he saw the full design of the next-gen LEAF during what appears to be the filming promotional content in the streets. That's definitely the best look we have of the car ahead of the September launch of the next-generation EV. Over the past few months, Nissan has been gradually teasing images and features of the vehicle, most recently the e-pedal feature. Electrek's take. It definitely looks like a significant improvement over the current version of the LEAF. They fixed the bug eye-like headlights and the front fascia is much shaper. Granted, the spy shots are probably not the most representative of the car, but it looks like a decent-looking hatchback. Nissan could have nailed the design part of its next-generation LEAF, but the other important upgrade that is expected with the new generation is range. The recent prototype spotted showed a range of 165 miles, 265 kilometers, on a single charge. That's significantly below the 200-plus miles of range expected for the new LEAF. We have been hearing rumors that the vehicle could first be offered with a 40 kWh battery pack in order to achieve the 165 miles of range this year and next year. The vehicle would receive a new 60 kWh option in order to achieve over 200 miles. It remains a rumor for the moment and we should know more by the unveiling in September.
Subarus and I have an interesting relationship. I was the proud owner of a MYOO Impreza WRX, back when I didn't care about the cost of insurance and what other people thought I did for a living. Later cars lost their mojo and the brand reached its nadir during the GFC with offerings that just didn't cut it, in my head at least. The last few years have seen the brand climb out of the funk, with the first and second generation XVs and the new Impreza. The Forester straddles the new Subaru and those that went before, but has been an absolute mainstay for the Japanese brand here in Australia. I drove the Forester TS last year and wasn't entirely convinced, so it was with mild trepidation I was assigned the Forester 2.5 IS. I needn't have been. My biggest criticism of the turbocharged TS, and XT before it, was that the CVT auto wasn't suited to the engine, flaring and lassoing about while making a racket. In this lower-powered, more relaxed 2.5-liter Boxer 4, it's much more at home, with just 235 Nm to manage along with a modest 126 kilowatts. Between the engine and transmission it's quieter and far more agreeable, if not particularly snappy, with a 9.9-second, claimed, run from 0 to 100 km per hour. The 2.5 IS is the second step up in the range, which starts with the 2.0 at $30,240 for the manual and rising to $39,740 for the CVT-only S, via a couple of diesels and the 2.5 IL. The S adds a few niceties we'll cover over the next 6 months to Christmas, but we are absolutely in love with the fast-acting heated seats that will be further tested on an upcoming trip to Thredbo. We've settled into the Forester quickly, 3, and counting, airport runs with luggage, 2 for me, 1 for the in-laws, a mission to buy a few months' worth of chick feed for our 5 hens and lots of school runs along with a couple of motorway trips. There's plenty more where that lot came from.
A winning recipe for adventure, with tasty new ingredients. When it debuted in 2013 as the XV Crosstrek, it was questionable whether an all-new Subaru that was essentially a lifted and ruggedized Impreza hatchback would strike a chord with buyers. The answer didn't take long. Just 3 years later, it was Subaru's third best-selling model behind the Outback and Forester. Leave it to Subaru to not only make a hatchback desirable to SUV-crazed consumers, but to do it so successfully that rivals soon sprouted. Of course, part of the appeal of the Crosstrek, it dropped the XV in its name a couple of years ago, is that it can be considered a crossover in the truest sense, an automotive melding of hatchback utility, SUV-like ground clearance and all-wheel drive, and sedan-like road manners. Now comes the 2018 Crosstrek, an all-new version that ushers in the model's second generation. Much of the formula remains the same, and given the initial model's success it's difficult to argue with that logic. The rugged 5-door hatchback design is fresher yet familiar, with a slight growth in size that translates to more interior room. Look closer, though, and you'll see this has truly been revamped. Following the Impreza, the Crosstrek is the second model to use the Subaru global platform that has been engineered for better driving manners, more comfort, and an even higher degree of safety. A bevy of new technology has also been loaded into the new Crosstrek, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility as standard. And of course it wouldn't be a Subaru if it didn't boast all-wheel drive as standard, which has long given Subarus an edge over competitors and have made them beloved in cold weather states and among the adventure-minded. Subaru invited us to South Dakota to be among the first to drive the 2018 Crosstrek. Under an expansive sky, countless miles of dirt roads, and the granite face gaze of 4 famous presidents, we spent a day and hundreds of miles fleshing out this new crossover. Here's what we found on this first drive. In the city. This is where we spent the least amount of our time because, well, we didn't really drive through any bustling metropolises during our time in South Dakota. About the only thing that qualified as traffic occurred on the main drag of Deadwood, with a population of less than 1,300 and what seemed like an equal number of tourists. Still, it didn't take a trip to Manhattan to know the Crosstrek would be a fine city dweller. It's a small car, after all, so it's easy to slot into parking spaces. Good visibility, another Subaru hallmark, adds to its ease in urban dwellings. One of the best traits about this new Crosstrek is one that it doesn't have anymore: aggressive throttle tip-in. This tendency to lurch from a stop appears to have been scrubbed from these new Subarus. On the highway, the Crosstrek is a comfortable vehicle for its size. It's not as agile or as fun to drive as a Volkswagen Golf Alltrack, but this higher-riding all-wheel drive utility vehicle feels plusher. Same story for the steering. Whereas the Alltrack steering wheel is firmer, more nuanced and tells you what's going on beneath the wheels, the Crosstrek is quite soft and takes little effort to steer. Here we must also talk about the sub's acceleration. While the engine has been revamped, power output remains modest at best. The 4-cylinder boxer engine makes 152 horsepower, only a 4 horsepower bump over the outgoing model. Comparing it again to the Alltrack with its turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 170 horsepower, it shouldn't be a surprise that the Crosstrek doesn't feel quick. Side note 1, here's where the enthusiast in us must ask, wouldn't it be great to have a turbocharged Crosstrek? Side note 2, sorry, but the only alternative powertrain mentioned by execs at the media launch is an alternative power one, such as a hybrid. We'll end the section on a sweeter note. The continuously variable transmission, CVT, that most Crosstreks will be sold with feels ever more natural, and if you get a model with paddle shifters, premium or limited trims, you can even exercise it as you see fit. Also notable is the work that went into quieting the Crosstrek. Less of the boxer engine's inherent gruffness can be heard at startup and under full acceleration. Off-road. Now we come into the Crosstrek's natural territory, roads that are not paved or are otherwise traction compromised. We spent hours barreling down dusty and desolate dirt roads in the all-new Crosstrek, sometimes going at speeds we probably shouldn't have. On these paths the sub's advanced all-wheel drive system truly helped us feel confident, while its commendable 8.7 inches of ground clearance kept the underbody scrape-free. Combined with advanced traction management, the Crosstrek always kept its composure. This was the case even when we flung the Subaru into a corner hard, allowing it to slide across the dirt. The Crosstrek actually let itself drift a moment before its systems kicked in. This allowed some loonish type fun before the electronic safety nets kicked in to keep us from sliding too far. For a steeper challenge, literally, we visited a quarry brimming with quarry-like terrain, namely rocks, loose gravel and mountain made up of both. Here we tested X mode with hill descent control, Subaru's off-road system that comes to the Crosstrek for the first time with this new model. Standard on models with an automatic transmission, the system manages throttle and braking on steep slopes, which lets you focus on steering the vehicle to stay on its intended path. After we engaged X mode with the simple press of a button near the transmission selector, the Crosstrek rolled down the slope with assuredness and ease. Hey, there's a third pedal. Manual transmissions by their nature are usually more engaging to drive, if for nothing else because of the driver involvement needed to use them. This holds true of the new Crosstrek, but we didn't find it all that satisfying. To our foot, the clutch pedal felt on the spongy side, and the gear selector could be notchy. After a couple of hours we become more acclimated to the Crosstrek's manual, but it still didn't feel as crisp overall as we'd wished. If you're thinking of one, see how it feels to your senses first. Infotainment. The 2018 Crosstrek comes with one of 3 touchscreen infotainment systems, from the base Starlink 6.5-inch multimedia system to an 8-inch system, with or without navigation. Whichever one you go with, it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility standard. Great news for smartphone compatibility out the gate. The base audio system only has 4 speakers, while premium and limited models get 6 and a CD player. Optional on limited models is a 432-watt Harman Kardon system, which marks the first time a premium audio system has been offered on the Crosstrek. Optional on all trims is a Rockford Fosgate audio system for $499. Front seats. We felt the Crosstrek's front seats were perfectly adequate for the task at hand. They neither overwhelmed with soothing comfort, nor did they leave us aching after a day's drive. All models have 6-way adjustable driver seat and 4-way adjustable passenger seat. Cloth is standard in base and mid trims, while top-line limited models are lined in leather. For the first time on a Crosstrek, power adjustment for the driver's seat can be had on limited models. If we could wish for one thing, it'd be adjustable lumbar support. Rear seats. The rear passenger area of the Crosstrek is surprisingly roomy, with 36.5 inches of legroom and a seating position that grants a good view out the windows. Despite the Crosstrek's sloped roof, there's still decent headroom in back. As is the case with most compact cars, the rear seat can technically fit 3 across, but that'd be a squeeze. All models have rear seats that fold in a 60/40 split. Cargo area. Most crossovers and SUVs say they have flat folding seats, but rarely does flat mean flat. Fold the Crosstrek's rear seats, however, and you'll see what flat should look like. With seats folded, you can cram up to 55.3 cubic feet of gear into the cargo space, while even with the rear seats up you get 20.8 cubic feet. This is why hatchbacks are so practical. Additionally, roof rails are standard, so strap on that bike or kayak. If you need to haul more gear still, the Crosstrek is rated to tow, unlike some subcompact crossover rivals. Granted, at 1,500 pounds you won't be pulling a house, but at least you can pull something. Fuel economy. Subarus are surprisingly fuel efficient, something which is especially notable given that most are all-wheel drive. The latest Crosstrek continues to put up impressive numbers, with CVT automatic models earning a 29 mpg combined and manual transmission models rated at 25. We should note that in our time with the manual model, the car showed figures markedly higher, in the mid-30 range. As they say, your mileage may vary. Rivals. If you consider the Crosstrek a subcompact SUV, it has a bevy of rivals ranging from the Mazda CX-3 and Nissan Juke to the Chevy Track and Fiat 500X. We think its most direct competitor is the slightly larger Volkswagen Golf Alltrack. As with the Crosstrek, the Alltrack is essentially a lifted, ruggedized, all-wheel drive version of an existing 5-door hatchback, in the VW's case the Golf Sportwagon. As we've noted, the VW is more powerful, feels more dynamic and fun to drive, and it also offers a manual transmission or a 6-speed twin-clutch automatic. But it has less ground clearance, a higher starting price, and if history is indicative, will have lower residual value.